This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, and I'm going to call the regular council meeting of Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025 to order. Leland and Bridget is excused.
Councilmember Puryear?
Here.
Councilmember Hollingshead is excused. Mayor Johnson?
Here.
Councilmember Mitchell?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Walczak?
Here.
Please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I entertain a motion to approve the agenda as printed.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem, supported by Council Mitchell. Any discussion? Nope. Leland?
Councilmember Puryear?
Aye.
Mayor Johnson?
Aye.
Councilmember Mitchell?
Aye.
And Mayor Pro Tem Walczak?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Are there any modifications to the agenda this evening?
No.
Approval of the minutes, and this would be of approval of the regular session of August 18th, 2025, and B, correct the minutes of August 4th, 2020.
Do you need a motion on that, Cindy?
I think I need it for the correction.
Just the correction?
Well, for the whole thing, because the correction's in there.
Yeah.
I move that we approve the minutes with the 2 additional sub-items as listed.
I'll second. So we have approval of the minutes of the regular session of August 18th, 2025, and B, the corrected minutes of August 4th, 2025. Any discussion? Leland?
Mayor Johnson? Councilmember Mitchell?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Walczak?
Aye.
And Councilmember Puryear?
Aye.
Motion
Sorry,
carried.
Mayor Johnson, I do see a specific motion for correction of the minutes in the memo.
The memo that you just gave.
Memorandum.
No, in the memo that was in the packet under correction of minutes. The recommended motion is to correct the minutes of August 4th, 2025 to read the minutes of the regular and closed sessions of July 21st, 2025 were approved and as printed.
Okay.
It's in that memo.
But we've made a motion and it was supported. Do we rescind that and start on? So I need a motion to rescind.
Move we rescind the motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
So Danny made the motion to rescind the motion we just had. Mayor Pro Tem supported. Any discussion? All in favor? Oh, no. Leland, it's your turn. I was going to take a fast track to get there.
Okay, so this is the rescind, right?
Yes.
Okay. Councilmember Mitchell?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Walczak?
Aye.
Councilmember Puryear?
Aye.
And Mayor Johnson? Motion carried.
No.
And then you would need 2 motions, one for approval of the regular session minutes and then one to correct with what's in the memo.
Okay, just so.
2 separate ones.
Yes.
Completely separate ones. Okay, I'd like to make.
Okay, but the approval normally doesn't get a motion.
Oh, it doesn't? Okay.
So
Yeah, it's just a correction.
we're just going to make a motion on the correction. Does anyone have that one up?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Do you want to do it, Mayor Pro Tem?
You go ahead.
Oh, then,
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to correct the minutes of August 4th, 2025 to read as the minutes of the regular and closed sessions of July 21st, 2025 were approved as printed.
support.
Courier made the motion, supported by Mitchell, to correct the minutes of August 4th, 2025 to read the minutes of the regular and closed sessions of July 21st, 2025 were approved as printed. Any discussion?
Mayor Pro Tem Walczak?
Aye.
Councilmember Puryear?
Aye.
Mayor Johnson? Councilmember Mitchell?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you for
getting us through that. Okay, we're down to 5, and it's public comment. Citizens appearing before council on agenda and non-agenda items shall be allowed a maximum of 5 minutes each to address their concerns. This is the only time during a council meeting that citizens are allowed to address the council. Please come to the podium, state your name and address. Online comments will be accepted after in-person comments are completed, and all comments should be directed to the council and not to the audience. Anyone? No. So I'm going to close public comment. We have no public hearing. Have consent agenda. This lengthy, and I'll do my very best. A, bills to be allowed in the amount of $1,269,806.26, and authorize Mayor Johnson and Clerk Soik to sign the warrant. B, approval of budget amendment request to carry over $31,000 from fiscal year 25 to fiscal year 26 in the capital vehicle account and the equipment fund for the purchase of a bucket truck. C, approval of a budget amendment request to carry over $115,000 from fiscal year 25, fiscal year 26 for building maintenance project. D, approval of a budget amendment request to carry over $24,900 from fiscal year 25 to fiscal year 26 in the capital outlay account in the lights department of the general fund for the downtown wiring and other energy efficient improvements. E, approval of a budget amendment request to carry forward $267,600 from fiscal year 25 to fiscal year 26 and the materials contract in the street construction department of local street funds for thin overlay resurfacing and other capital preventative maintenance projects. F, approval of a budget amendment request to carry forward $400,000 from fiscal year 25 to fiscal year 26 and the materials contract account in the streets construction department of major street funds for capital preventive maintenance projects. G, approval of a budget amendment to request to carry forward $187,440 from fiscal year 25 to fiscal year 26 and the capital storm sewers parking account and the public works department of the general fund to complete the Carter Street parking lot resurfacing project. H, approval of a budget amendment request to carry forward from fiscal year 25 to fiscal year 26, $59,000 in the capital replace sidewalks account and $1,000 in the new capital new sidewalk accounts in the public works department and the general fund to continue larger areas of sidewalk replacement and installation. I, approval of a budget amendment request to carry forward from fiscal year 25 to fiscal year 26, $180,000 in the capital sewer mains account and $661,400 in the capital building improvements account at the sewer fund to complete sewer mains and building projects. J, approval of a budget amendment request to carry forward from fiscal year 25 to fiscal year 26, $13,500 in the supplies account, $22,000 in the durable goods account, $14,500 in the office maintenance account, and $10,000 in the capital equipment account of the information technology department in the general fund to finish the laptop project, switch replacement, and purchase a server. Almost. K, approval of a budget amendment request to carry forward from fiscal year 25 to fiscal year 26, $31,000 in the capital building improvements account, $82,100 in the replaced lead service account, and $91,000 in the capital main valves account and the water sewer fund to finish capital outlay in the treatment plant building, continue main valve replacements and lead line replacement. I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem to accept the consent agenda as presented and seconded by Courier. Any discussion? Leland.
Councilmember Courier,
Aye.
Mayor Johnson,
Aye.
Councilmember Mitchell,
Aye.
and Mayor Pro Tem Wojcik.
Aye.
Thank you. We are down to 8 presentations, and we have research results of nesting box program at the Wildlife Sanctuary, and we have Kyle Greer here.
I'm here, I guess.
Yes.
So I'm Kyle Greer. I'm with the Sunrise Side chapter of Delta Waterfowl. Just going to give you a little bit of brief history about what we do as Delta Waterfowl, what we stand for. And then once we get that out of the way, we'll get into this research project and the stuff we're doing here locally. So Delta Waterfowl, we started in 1911 by a guy named, I know his name, James Ford Bell. He was the founder of General Mills Cereal. He was a hunter, got out, was finding the duck numbers are going down. He wanted to improve that. He knows guys named Aldo Leopold and Albert Hochburn. With those 3 guys, we formed Delta Waterfowl as a research organization to develop ways to improve duck population numbers. You can go to the next one there, Steve. Oh, maybe. Uh-oh, that's all right. So in the mid-90s, we've expanded away from just purely research into a fundraising side of things with some chapter systems. And that's where we get our local chapter from. We do some fundraising. 86% of the money we raise goes directly back into protecting wildlife, and mostly ducks and geese. There's a little bit of managerial things that go down. 13% goes into fundraising efforts, and then 1% is our actual expenses for operating. On to our next one, Steve. This is where we start giving locally. We got $14 million stays with our chapters that are all throughout the United States. Here locally, we get to keep, I think the last year off our fundraising efforts, we were just about $2,400 we get to keep, which doesn't sound like a lot of money, but for a first year event, it's a pretty good step. We do things with those funds to keep them locally. We get to do some women in the outdoors hunts and events like that. Getting kids outside is a big thing that we stand for locally, and then improving our local habitat to improve wildlife numbers. Next one there, Steve. We're going to start talking about Hunter 3, which is kind of what we have to do as organizations to improve numbers in the future. So it's recruiting new hunters, retaining current hunters, reactivating past hunters. By doing that, that's how you keep our numbers up, and hunting is where the bulk of the money for conservation comes from. On to our next one there, Steve. So us as Delta Waterfowl, we have the largest waterfowl recruitment in hunting, getting kids involved in just adults and first-time hunters into the sport. With numbers comes support, and coming from that is also the money involved. On to our next one, Steve. So in Michigan, we have currently 3 chapters in the state. Of those 3 chapters, we've got 1,500 youth involved in some kind of outdoor activity, whether that be a first hunt or fishing days or skeet days, things to get them out into the outdoors. That number was, as of like last month, we just did an event actually down in Bay City where we had 140 kids go through a calling clinic and getting them involved in the sport. So that's 1,600 and some now. So, but let me go to the next one there, Steve. These are just kind of some of the things we do. There's a mentor recognition. So if you take some kids out and they have a great time, they see that us as Delta or us as our local chapter, we have a guy in our group that's going above and beyond and helping out and doing things that the normal everyday person doesn't. We have the abilities to recognize that individual and get national recognition for that individual. Go on, Steve. We have a very robust, it's a policy team that they can help us locally if we have issues with access or some issues that happen with, we have a robust team that'll help us if we have a wildlife issue that's going on, whether that be something to do with some pollution events that are happening. We can go with them and they'll help us get through that on the state and federal levels to help us get mitigation for situations like that. Go for our next one. There's where we're starting getting into what we're doing here locally. We got our hen houses. These hen houses are going to produce more ducks than it's your most cost-effective way of producing more ducks. With a hen house, we're going to remove the nest predators aren't going to be there. The raccoons and skunks, they can't get to the nest when they're 3 feet up off the water. With those, you're basically 60% more likely that that nest is going to hatch in that hen house versus on the ground. Go to our next one. Part of what the hen houses do is getting our predator management under control. With that, we are very proactive in the side of trapping. We don't do that locally, but on the grand scheme of things, trapping is a very productive way to increase your nest. Your nest predators go away with management that way. On to our next one. Then our habitat conservation. We work with landowners. There was a PBS article that came out last year. It was about taking marginal wetlands in a farmer's field and protecting that land by paying the farmer whatever rate he would get off of his crop. So instead of him tilling it, we're going to keep it as a semi-permanent wetland, and that's going to keep more wetland habitat available for these nesting birds. Steve, what do we got? Now we're going back to our research that we started with. And we currently have, I believe it's about 170 masters and doctors programs that we're sponsoring, mostly through the big state colleges, your land grant colleges. Like, we don't really have anything in Michigan right now, but nationwide we have a lot. And where do we got next? Now we're into our Alpena one. So before we go any farther, anybody have any questions about what we have here locally? Well, what I've discussed so far. So I'm a whole lot better if you ask questions. I'm better at answers.
When you say trapping,
Yes.
what does that process look like? Like, is it, yeah.
So trapping, as we say trapping, we're trying to eliminate the nest predator of the ducks. So mostly it's raccoons, skunks, things like that. With that, it is going to be, typically it's a live trap we use. And then either, most of the time it's you euthanize those animals. Just the way trapping used to be, there was a value associated with the hide for our fur goods and things like that. Now the market has pretty much depleted on that. So it is mostly you remove the predator to help with the nesting success rates.
Okay.
So.
But that's not occurring.
Yeah, that's not occurring here. We don't do that. That's over in actually North Dakota and Manitoba.
Okay.
That's where that mostly to. Here, we don't do any of that. Here, we just do our hen houses, which, yes.
Okay.
So I know we have got.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, no problem. We don't do that here, maybe in the future, but for now, it's not something we want to get in with.
Yeah.
But for what we're doing here, we're actually having great success. So we started this in 2014. In actually April of 2014, we installed 13 hen tubes in and around the sanctuary area of Alpena. We upped that to 12, put 12 more out this spring, and we also added 9 wood duck boxes. If you go to the next slide there, Steve, you're going to see the locations of all of those. So our blue marks there are where our wood duck boxes are. Of those wood duck boxes, I got to look here. Give me 1 second. I got to zoom in here. So of our 9 wood duck boxes, I had 4 of them that were successful. Successful meaning the chicks hatched and came out of the nest box. I'm not a biologist. I can't tell you that was 100% a wood duck that hatched from that, but something hatched in that box. So there were shells in 4 of them. With those, we went out and did our inspection on those. It would have been late July. With that, we don't remove the cedar bedding out of them yet, because over the winter, barred owls will use those as some structure as well to hide in. So we want to keep those and maintain those. Coming up in the spring, usually over the ice, it's much easier when they have ice on the water. You can get around better. We'll go back out there, replace the nesting material in those wood duck boxes, make them fresh, so that way in the spring, the wood ducks will have the best chances. Going on to our green marks up there, that is the first year wood duck boxes, hen houses, sorry. That's where the 13 were originally placed, kind of in this would be the northeast-ish side of the sanctuary. In our first year, we had 4 of those were successful in producing chicks. Coming up this year, the red marks were the 12 additional we added. Then as a total, between all 25 of those, we had 9 of them that were productive. So we are getting better. Hen houses, they take typically 3 to 5 years to see your maximum utilization. With mallards in particular is what's going to hatch out of these hen houses. The hen mallard is going to imprint on where she was raised. The drakes, they don't really care. They're going to go down south in the migration. They're going to meet up their lady friends and follow them home. So the more, with having more success this year over last, with 9 successful this year, hopefully we have more chicks that are coming back. They're going to look for an area that's similar to where they were hatched. So they are going to hopefully increase from 9 to whatever number we get next year, and we'll find that out in late July. That's pretty much where we're at on that. We've exhausted about the area we can put those in. Mallards are a territorial duck. So if we put them too much closer together, they won't be successful. So moving on, we're probably going to go outside the city a little bit, but still keep things locally in our area and growing. Any questions about this stuff?
Just about
Yes.
not poachers, what did you call them? Predators.
Yes.
How about the snappers? Yeah.
They're a predator, but we don't have an effective way to manage that predator. Pike are also a very big predator of ducklings. But with our hen houses, once they hatch, they've got a lot better chance of escaping those predators, being mobile.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I had a few questions.
I hopefully have answers.
We've been doing this since 2014.
2014.
So have you seen, has there been an increase in the mallard duck population in the sanctuary?
Like I said, I'm not a biologist. I haven't run hard numbers and all this kind of research stuff, but anecdotally, I do believe I am seeing more ducks in general in the sanctuary. Mallards are what primarily use our hen houses, but any puddle duck will. Your dabbling ducks would be like a mallard, a widgeon, pintails. We don't have a lot of pintail, but they're around.
Is there, I guess, in management, is there kind of a range of what we want to see in mallards that the system can support? Because I'll just take it one step further. So, some people think in the city we have an abundance of geese, so then we're forced to look at how do we manage them.
Correct.
Where's that tipping point?
So typically with your mallards, they don't have as big of an issue as geese. Geese, they defecate all over, and that's a major issue there. Mallards, typically they're in the water more than on shore, so you don't have that problem. Once we get to the point where you believe we are having too many mallards, we can start removing these or putting them places in other locations if that's something that was deemed needed at that point.
I was just curious.
With the size of these hen houses, I don't know if you guys have all seen them around the sanctuary. Geese cannot use these either. Being roughly a 10 to 12 inch diameter, they don't fit.
Yeah.
So we don't have that problem.
I wasn't worried about geese using them.
Yeah.
I just used the goose population in the city as an example of we're going to eventually have so many ducks in the city that people are screaming at us.
I would say no.
They're-
My opinion is no, but to just maintain the population of where we're at, you need roughly a 15% success rate on your nests to maintain a population.
Okay. And then
15, close enough. Yeah.
you said that barn owls will use the empty nest. Aren't they a predator to the
They are.
ducks?
They are, but they're another good fowl that they're a good bird to see around. It's bards and screech. They use them. Usually it's the screech owls, but barred owls will as well. It's another one of those things. It's a benefit that we can have not just for ducks but for other species as well.
They eat geese.
Maybe.
I shouldn't have said that.
Something
Just increase the amount of mouth bass.
I didn't want to interrupt.
Oh, you're good.
So, we did remove a lot of the mute swans, and they're very aggressive. So I think that probably had a little bit to do with any increase in diversity or duck population. So we're starting to see more of the trumpeter swans in there.
Yep.
And we want the sanctuary to be diverse. We do. So
Exactly.
mallards are a part of that, but
We do have one hen house out there that was damaged over the summer. We're not entirely sure how. but either somebody got a little aggressive with it or a very large bird landed on top of it. So it's a little on the flat side, but it's going to be addressed here and removed and replaced with the correct ones after repairs.
Will you add more nesting boxes every year?
We're going to maintain what we have.
Saturated.
We've pretty much saturated our area with most puddle ducks are a territorial bird, so roughly 100 to 150 yards between nesting sites is kind of the game, where you kind of go for. But with how big the sanctuary is and the number we have, I think we've hit a saturation point. I know there's some of those locations on there. If there's anything that you guys don't like, they are a fairly mobile, platform, so we can move them if something comes about. If somebody doesn't like one that's over in front of their house, we can move it somewhere else. But we tried to keep them visible so people can enjoy that if there is ducklings coming out of them, which there are. So.
And the primary purpose of all of this too is for the population for hunting.
Hunting is one thing. Us as Delta, we are the duck hunters organization.
Yeah.
Hunting is what we go for. But at the end of the day, if there's mallards around for my kids to see or grandkids or anything, that's the whole name of the game. If I don't get to hunt a duck, I don't get to hunt a duck. But if I get to see ducks, it's even better. So
yeah, it's interesting to increase the amount of hunters that there are. Do you see probably a decrease in hunting right now?
So right now, hunter numbers are down in the whole state, in the whole nation. Hunting numbers are down, but duck numbers actually today the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service numbers came out. There's roughly from year over year there has been no change. From last year to this year has been no change of duck numbers. Long-term average are down about 4%, which long-term average, that's not too bad. Just given that duck numbers in the prairie potholes, which is kind of that North Dakota, South Dakota, Manitoba, Alberta area, mid-continent, that is what drives duck numbers. And the driving factor is water, how much precipitation falls down. With us having the amount of water we have here, we're at a great opportunity to have a very diverse waterfowl population. So, but hunting's it's a great sport, great pastime, but at the same time, it's for our conservation where we can get more people involved. And, we can take somebody out, get them involved in the sport, and then at the same time, now they get a passion to do things like this. So
breed there and then hunt elsewhere.
Of course, yeah. Wherever it needs.
I mean, this is, I come from a hunting family, so
I understand.
Curious, yeah. Hunting camps, I did.
Yeah.
Are you thinking about putting this anywhere else?
So currently, we've been contacted by some other organizations about expanding into some other lakes around. We have to go through some DNR approvals for that, and that's a little bit of some back and forth with how many they want to allow us to have and that kind of stuff. But we are looking to expand potentially into the Lake Winya, the Fletcher floodwaters area. Be our next kind of area to go to, and wherever else we might be able to find some spots. Right now, we don't have that many volunteers. I've got probably 6 that are active volunteers that are coming with us. Whenever we need them, I can call those guys. I'm gonna have 6 to 8 guys. And with that number of people to manage this number of hen houses, that's a day's work to go out there in the winter and restuff all these, make sure there's good hay in them, good nesting material for that duck. Because a duck will not transport nesting material with them. A robin, she'll go out and get grass and all that, and make her nest. Ducks don't do that. If it's not right where they're at, they're not going to use it. So that's why we have to provide all that with these hen houses and the nesting material inside of them. So there's a bunch of information and all that. So.
Yeah.
Kyle, what area do you kind of cover? Just Alpena?
So we're the Sunrise Side chapter. We started actually January of 2024. So we're a year and a half old, give or take, as here locally. We want to get and expand out. We with our chapter, we go as far up to Sault Ste. Marie. We bring Lake Superior State students down. We do our university hunt with them. And those are people that are going into some kind of resource management field, whether that be a DNR officer, biologist, and just give them an experience of the hunting side of biology.
Does the hunting take place?
It could be anywhere from out in Lake Huron to out in Long Swamp, out by Long Rapids, out in that area. Could be anywhere, Grand Lake, Long Lake. There's always a lot of people hunting right now. Teal season just opened up on, would have been Monday, and geese opened up Monday as well. So a lot of farm fields for the geese, and then teal. A lot of people have been doing great success on some of the bays of, Lake Huron, and some of the other back bays and bigger water. So there's hunting opportunities all over in the area.
I see them on the big lake. I love seeing them set up and they drag the ducks behind.
Yeah, it's an experience.
It's-
So if you're ever thinking about it, let me know.
Okay, yeah.
We'll get you out. Hopefully.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So then, and just my last question.
So,
Kyle, will you come back to us next year and update us on what's going on out there?
as long as you'll have me, I'll come and talk to you.
We will have you.
So
Anyone have any other questions?
perfect.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for allowing me to give you guys the information, and hopefully we'll keep this going. Thank you.
Thank you. Should I receive and file the? Entertain a motion to receive and file.
I don't have those.
I move we receive and file the presentation by
Oh, Greer.
Kyle Greer.
Yes.
Oh, he's just.
Answer my name, sorry.
Second.
Danny made a motion to receive and file Kyle Greer's presentation, and Kevin supported. Any discussion? Leland?
Mayor Johnson,
Aye.
Councilmember Mitchell,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Walter,
Aye.
and Councilmember Curry.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Leland. We're down to 9 announcements. The city is seeking an individual to fill a vacancy on the local officers compensation committee for a 6-year term. So anyone out there who's interested, we want you.
Desperately.
I have no mayoral proclamation. We're down to 11 reports of officer boards and committees, and A is resolution to authorize the issuance of the general obligation limited bond series 2025, and our city manager Rachel Smolensky is here.
So this is easy for me. I'm going to pass it over to Roger Sweats, who is online from Dickinson Wright. And this is the next step in getting these bonds issued. And I did send you a potential resolution for your consideration, or excuse me, yeah, resolution. Thank you. All right, Roger, over to you.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Yeah, this resolution, as Rachel said, is the act that the city takes to provide the final formal approval of the issuance of the bonds. The maximum amount of bonds that could be issued pursuant to the resolution adopted earlier by the council is 4,100,000. We're currently, I think, advertising the sale at a slightly smaller amount, but we just leave that number in this resolution to allow flexibility as we go through the sale process. But they were advertised for sale or will be tomorrow. Well, it'll go to the paper tomorrow for publication on Thursday at 4,045,000. The resolution delegates to authorized officers, including the mayor, city manager, and clerk, treasurer, finance director, the authority to finalize the bond details. And basically, there's a lot here, but what it'll all come down to is there'll be a notice of sale published in a national newspaper that specializes in bond issuances called the Bond Buyer. That'll be in the paper on Thursday, and then the sale will happen 1 week later at 11:30 a.m. And pursuant to state law, the city is required to either accept the low bid that comes in or reject all bids. So, the power to accept those bids is delegated to an authorized officer, but there's not a lot of discretion here. So as long as we receive good bids, the decision will just be to award the bid to the low bidder. We have some things in this resolution like a maximum interest rate of 6%. Don't let that throw you off. The actual rate will be much lower than that. That's just to provide a bidding parameter for bidders, and the bids will be competitively determined when those bids come in a week from Thursday. We're looking at a 20-year bond issue. And yeah, I think that's kind of the overall parameters. I'll stop at that point and be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Does anyone have questions for Roger?
Go
Roger, it looks like we have no questions for you.
Okay.
ahead.
And I just wanted to
like it when
mention,
things are easy.
and I would just mention that if everything goes through with our schedule, then we would have everything in hand by, was it October 2nd, Roger?
Yes. Yeah, we'll take the bids a week from Thursday, and then we go through a process to draft closing documents. We'll get those to the city by email. There'll be documents for the mayor, clerk, manager, and treasurer to sign, and then everything's done electronically these days. So then the bonds will basically be issued electronically, and then the closing will just happen via phone and email on the closing date if everything goes according to plan.
Thank you, Roger. All right, I'll entertain a motion.
You have the motion in front of you.
I would move to approve resolution number 2025-9 to authorize issuance of general obligation limited tax bond series 2025.
Second.
So I made the motion, Mayor Pro Tem supported, moved to approve resolution number 2025-09 to authorize issuance of the general obligation limited tax bond series 2025. Any discussion? No? Okay, Leland,
Councilmember Mitchell,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Waltrip,
Aye.
Councilmember Courier,
Aye.
and Mayor Johnson. Motion carried.
thank you, Roger.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
You.
Okay, so now we are down to Veterans Day Parade, insurance reimbursement request, and we have Rachel here.
Okay. So the 2025 Veterans Day Parade route is planned to begin at 11 a.m., commencing at McRae Park and proceeding down 2nd Avenue to City Hall parking lot. And then it'll be followed by a brief ceremony on the City Hall lawn to honor our veterans. And we hope for no rain and wind this year. All events that occur on public property or city-controlled resources are required to complete an application, with some events requiring insurance, with the city listed as additional insured. As liabilities and security issues have increased for events such as parades, the cost of insurance policies for special events has also increased. Per MCL 123.851, municipalities are granted the authority to spend funds if the celebration is for Armistice, Independence, Memorial Day, Diamond Jubilee, or Centennial. Municipalities may spend appropriated funds for the purpose of defraying the expense of these occasions. As the expense is an allowable cost for the city of Alpena, it is my recommendation to reimburse the cost of the special events insurance policy required for the 2025 Veterans Day Parade and Ceremony. And I have a motion there for your consideration.
Does anyone have questions for Rachel?
I was just looking for the date on this.
It's the 11th,
November 11th.
Shall I say
November the 11th.
Thank you.
Last year was downpouring.
Yeah.
Oh, windy.
I don't know, it was a little rainy last year, but we hope for the best. They have not announced a rain date, but we'll cross that bridge if we need to.
Swimmingly.
There's no questions. I'll entertain a motion.
I move we approve the allocation of an amount not to exceed $500 as reimbursement to the Alpena County Veterans Council for the cost of a special events insurance policy for the 2025 Veterans Day Parade and Ceremony.
Second.
So Mitchell made the motion, supported by Courier, to approve the allocation of an amount not to exceed $500 as reimbursement to the Alpena County Veterans Council for the cost of a special events insurance policy for the 2025 Veterans Day Parade and Ceremony. Any discussion? Leland?
Mayor Pro Tem Waltrip,
Aye.
Councilmember Courier, Mayor Johnson.
Aye.
Councilmember Mitchell.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now we're down to C, second reading of ordinance 25-512, which amends the city of Alpena zoning map. And I'm going to turn that over to Bill Piper.
Consistent with council policy, this would not be read again unless one of the individual members requests me to do so, but this is ordinance number 25-512. There is also a brief memo from Montiel as to what occurred at the planning commission. And then there was one change from first reading, and that is the second full sentence of the first paragraph would read, 2 agreed upon conditions were placed on the property. 1, that all windows and siding repairs be completed by July 17th, 2026. And 2, that the basement shall not be rented out or utilized as living space.
Okay, and before we go any further, I think Mayor Pro Tem wants to recuse herself.
I do.
Okay.
I don't know if I make that motion.
Well, anyone can make them. You make the motion.
Okay, I move to allow Mayor Pro Tem Walczak to abstain from the discussion and voting on ordinance number 25-512 because of my knowledge of the subject property.
Or
So Mayor Pro Tem moved and supported by Mitchell to allow Councilwoman Walczak to abstain from the discussion and voting on ordinance number 25-512 because of her knowledge of the subject property. So, any discussion? Even.
Councilmember Courier,
Aye.
Mayor Johnson.
Aye.
And Councilmember Mitchell.
aye.
Motion carried.
Back to you, Bill. Or were you done?
Oh, that's all I have. I'm sorry.
Just have one issue that I want to clarify. They have to have everything, the siding repairs, windows, everything has to be completed by July 17th, 2026. And they've agreed to that. They're not, oh, yeah, they are here. And that is a drop dead deadline. There's no, they don't get an extension. They have agreed on the July 17th deadline.
Based on what the zoning ordinance allows for conditional rezoning, they could come back and apply for an extension for the use itself to become a triplex, but the
Or you mean a duplex?
or a duplex, sorry, a duplex. Duplex. But the repairs, the deadline is July 17th, 2026.
That's part of our conditional rezone, this
Mhm.
deadline. It's
Yes.
part of our conditional rezone. So
Mhm.
to me, that's for me to vote yes on that, that has to be, there are no other, now we get to do this, now we get to do this, now we get to do this. With everything that we've been told, and they've agreed to the July 17th, that this will be done. But now you're telling me that.
Well, the conditional rezoning parameters say that the conditional rezoning, if it's not, they can approach the planning commission and request an extension for a maximum of up to a year if they need more time for whatever reason to complete the use, to start the use, specifically for the conversion to a duplex. So I don't think it's going to take that long because I think they're itching to, get moving on that. So I don't think that will be utilized.
You that requests have to come back to the council then?
I'd have to go back and double check that, but the planning commission can say no. It has to be for just cause is what the ordinance specifically states.
And then with that, no, the duplex conversion is,
It would not be able to move forward.
okay.
Yes.
Without this, the occupation would not be allowed to go forward. Rental. This has to be done first before the rental could be done.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. It's being rented currently as a single family, not as a duplex.
We can't start the work on a duplex until this other stuff is done.
No.
They
This can be approved and then it gets published in the paper and it would be effective and they can pull their building permits to do the conversion, which I'm sure is their intention. They'll pull the building permits for this part while they're completing the exterior stuff as well. They already have all the windows, they just need to be installed, and the siding technically doesn't need a building permit, but we tied it to this approval.
And then the other major issue was just the parking. That's kind of always the,
So parking, technically, according to the zoning ordinance, 3 spaces is required for a duplex, and they have more than adequate space for 3 spaces on the property.
I got nothing else.
get many hangups. Yeah. Yeah. Fine.
Speaking,
Good.
well, I move
Thank
we
you.
approve ordinance 25-512 to amend the city of Alpena zoning map.
I'll second.
So Danny made a motion to move to amend the city zoning map, supported by Courier. I have a question. Can we bring this back? Because Bridget isn't here. I know that we made a motion, we have to vote on the motion, but let's say the motion doesn't go anywhere. I'm just saying, because I don't know how anyone else is gonna vote. Can we bring this back next time when Bridget's here?
You could, but I think you have to vote or rescind the motion.
Yeah, or modify the motion to table it until,
Anna would say postpone.
oh yeah, postpone.
I'll table it.
Yeah.
Postpone. Oh, I guess it would make sense for all, well, still wouldn't be all of us voting on it though.
Well, she's not, but it might, we can take a vote and see where it goes. So is there any more discussion on it? And then we'll just take the vote.
I have no more discussion.
No, I don't either.
Okay.
Mayor Johnson,
No.
Councilmember Mitchell,
Aye.
and Councilmember Courier.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Yes.
Thank you, Leland.
Thank you.
Okay. Down to council committee reports. Carol, you want to go?
I do. I am on the advisory, never get this quite right, advisory board for the Thunder Bay Marine Sanctuary. And the meeting just had a bunch of information, so I'm just going to choose the most salient points. There is a group made up of young people, Ocean Guardian School Project, and they're identifying the types of debris that are being found in the water, as well as the amount of debris. It's part of their schools, and they're working on Starlight and Sneak, and it's a transitional program, and they're taking an actual class to do this, which I think that's wonderful. It makes them part of the community. Another interesting group was the Warfighter Scuba. I believe this is in the paper, but this is made up of a group of veterans with PTSD, and they're using scuba therapy to map out some of the ships, help look at the bottom, do buoy work, and they're investing in shipwrecks, and this is a way of helping them with their PTSD. And we got to listen to 5 gentlemen tell of their experiences with this, and they're all very pleased. And now they're talking, we want to move here and things like that. So yay. Okay. The SULOCs are going to be finished in 2030. And with inflation and COVID, that comes to $3.2 billion. So a lot. A sanctuary update. There are 4,300 square miles in the sanctuary. And they believe that they're going to have the update within the next couple of years. They're going to be finished with the mapping. We had an ROV competition. Most of you know there were 79 teams. 3 were regional. And ACC took third place. Very proud of them. Egypt, who took first place, said this was the best world competition they ever came to. And I think that's the end of my report.
Thank you. Kevin, do you have
Nothing.
Dana?
Yeah.
And I have very little, so I'm going to pass. Is that correct? Speak anyway. So now we have no communications, no unfinished business. We're down to new business. And we have A here in engineering contract addendum, and we have Montia.
Thank you. So just a quick update before we get into the specific request on all of the projects that we've had going on through this blight elimination program round 3. Danny is intimately familiar with it being on the land bank board, but just a very high level overview. So we had 6 different properties that we were working on. 3 of them were on Bedford Street, which Habitat is currently building houses on. We were reimbursed for those. We just demolished 401 Long Lake Avenue a few weeks ago. That was the old tavern that was kind of kitty corner from Shala's. So we submitted for reimbursement to the State Land Bank just recently. So waiting for feedback from them on that reimbursement. So we have 2 left. One of them is a property on Parker Street, which is a residential property. That one, we have some ongoing things with the court system that we're working through. So we hope we'll get that resolved soon. And then the next one is 1315 West Chisholm, which is the old big boy on the river. And that one has all of the asbestos and hazardous material removed from the property already. So we are ready to go out to bid once we have some more information and approval from Eagle. So basically, Eagle, because the property is on the river and is in a floodplain, they're requiring some additional permitting, understandably, for the demo and some of the soil moving that will occur there for the demo. And so we need to get a floodplain permit from them. So the State Land Bank Authority stated that a contractor currently used by the city could be used for engineering activities if the contractor met the requirements of the grant program. So the city of Alpena currently has a relationship and contract with Huron Engineering, and they have agreed to assist with the project, and the city drafted a contract addendum to ensure alignment with the requirements of the grant. Funds expended through this addendum are reimbursable activities through the grant as well. And you can see in the packet that we put a maximum amount for the contract, which was $5,000. There's also, they have to submit their hourly time for that project. And they'll also be working with Eagle to actually get the permit. So we'll have the permit in hand when we go out to bid to make it a little bit easier for the contractors to bid on the project. So once we have that, we'll follow up with an RFP for demo. So I have a motion, a recommended motion included in the packet, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
And thank you for the update. I think information for everyone. Will this come down this year, do you think? And I know
I'm hoping, I'm crossing my fingers. It all depends on how quickly we can get the permit through Eagle. I do have at least one contractor who's very interested in doing the demolition, and I know they're willing to do it even if the weather cooperates, even into like November or December. So we'll see. We do have until the middle of next summer to get it completed, but it'd be great to do it this fall if possible.
I have a question. Do we know what that's zoned as? It's business.
It is commercial corridor district. Right now it is in the DDA.
Part of DDA?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So are any people interested in doing something with the property?
Well, the current property owners we are working with them on the demolition. And so anything, any development would be, with them. They're not looking to sell it, I don't think.
Okay. All right.
I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the contract addendum between the City of Alpena and Huron Engineering to support activities of the Round 3 Blight Elimination Program grant.
Second.
Mayor Pro Tem made a motion, seconded by Courier, to approve the contract addendum between the City of Alpena and Huron Engineering to support activities of the Round 3 Blight Elimination Program grant. Any discussion?
I-
Go ahead.
Okay. Will, for the 1315 West Chisholm Street property, will that, because I know that goes down to the water level, will that be filled in, or is it still, when they demolish it, will it still be allowed to kind of?
So development plans are to be determined, but for the demolition, the building really goes right down to the river wall almost that was built there, so that all of that will be removed, so it'll be sloped in a way, which will be to make sure that nothing is going into the river, essentially, and it will be seeded so that the grass can kind of keep the soil in place until a development occurs on the property.
The basement was going to be backfilled.
Yes.
The basement was going to be backfilled, so that was
Oh.
okay there. So the swimming hole.
It'll just be regraded.
Yeah.
We don't want to have to bring a bunch of fill on site and then have to remove it if there was a development. So we're trying to, that's why Huron Engineering is going to help us figure all that out with Eagle.
Any more questions for Montiel? Well, this is exciting.
Yes.
Leland.
Councilmember Mitchell,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Walczak, Councilmember Courier, Mayor Johnson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you, Montiel. We're down to B, the 2025 tree inventory and assessment project. Stephen Schultz, city engineer.
So after an unsuccessful attempt in 2023, in October of 24, we received a grant from the Michigan Department of Natural Resources for the Urban and Community Forestry Grant in the amount of $160,000. This grant does not require a match from the city, and the intent of the program and grant is to assist communities in maintaining sustainable urban forest management. The focus of the city's application was to provide our community with a tree inventory assessment, along with providing training to our staff members for planting trees and to also purchase, I think we programmed in $50,000 for trees in the grant. So in addition to this tree inventory, we're doing all these other things with it. That's where the balance of the money is being spent. So on August 12th, we received an open proposals for the 2025 tree inventory and assessment. The project will focus on the following tasks. So it inventories public trees, GPS mapping of the trees, developing an urban forest management plan for the city, and identifying locations for new trees to be planted. Bids were sent to 13 firms, and we received 2 bids from Davy Resource Group and Ensign Environmental out of Iowa. And you can see the prices there in the memo. Nobody is over in the corner to scroll for me. So Davy Resource Group provided the city with a proposal outlining multiple locations in Michigan where they have completed several projects successfully as part of the same granting source. Their proposal outlines utilizing 3 inventory arborists in the field, with 2 forestry specialists leading the project and the management plan development. The base bid inventory for the project was for inventory of our street trees only. Alternate 1 requested a price for inventorying a select number of parks trees. And then in the proposal, Davy also agreed to inventory approximately 750 trees in the parks. This is a warranted expense as it will provide the city with valuable information in our parks and future parks planning. Alternate 2 will assist the city with tree planting locations. Within our grant, the city proposed planting approximately 100 trees. At that proposed number, the service would cost the city about $350. I feel the knowledge would be very valuable to the city on a proposal that we spend up to $2,000 for planting approximately 550 trees in the future to be located as part of our management plan. This information would be valuable for the city to have for any subsequent grant applications. Davies' proposal is based on inventorying an estimated 6,300 trees, and they have provided the city with a per site inventory price of $6.67. Staff is requesting that council could also approve a contingency amount of up to $10,000 to inventory additional trees as needed. Overall, the requested work total would not exceed the amount of $66,802.12, which is still below the second bid received and under the $80,000 the city estimated in our grant request to the DNR. As a note, that was our original number that we had in our heads, and in the grant application, actually it's 65,000 and then an additional 3,000 for training. So we're still under that number with this proposed cost. And as a reminder, this grant is fully funded, it does not have a city match, and the granting source has been notified and they are pleased with the results. So based on the review of the proposals, I recommend the following motion that's there. And Davies has already been notified that they could potentially be the awardee, and they're chomping at the bit, they're ready to go, so.
First of all, I'd like to thank the city for doing this. I mean, this was long before the ice storm that we started this
Yes.
Process, which probably should have been started 50 years ago so that we can manage the trees in the city better than we have. This is the beginning of that management, which is, I think, a really good idea, part of our general overall plan for the city, and trees should be managed. So
A lot of these, it was interesting, we got contacted back in 23 by the DNR. And they said this would be a good fit for up north because traditionally the urban forest moniker is more south. And so they've never really had any grants up in this area. And they said, hey, you need to apply for this, So we did, and we didn't have all of our ducks in a row and exactly what they wanted to see in the grant. So they didn't, but they coached us and they helped us get the grant the second year around. So
I'm glad that
it's been a good working relationship with them.
thank you for doing that. Does anyone have questions for Steve before we?
Yeah, I guess out of curiosity, what can we expect with the managed trees as opposed to what we have now? Kind of like visually what?
Well, they're looking at tree canopy. They're looking at, walking down the street. All the trees are on this side and there's hardly any trees on this side. They're going to help us either, what I kind of cautioned at the beginning when we started all this was that there could be places where they may say, you have to cut a few trees down because these are growing into each other and they're actually causing each other harm. So, we have a 25-foot separation for trees in our policy, but that is certainly not adequate for some of these trees that we pick. You can't pick two gigantic trees and put them 25 feet apart. So in a lot of these cases, we may see some of these trees, get cut down in order to make an area and then plant more further apart along down the street further. There's some of these things that may happen like that. And that's what we're asking them to do, is kind of look at all those things.
This has never happened. We never had trees managed like this before.
I have a
This is exciting.
3-ring binder of a tree inventory from 1974, I think,
Wow.
in the office. Yeah. All right.
This is exciting. Okay, yeah.
So I'm excited that it's going to be GPSed and digital and all that. That's going to be excellent.
We should be able to update that pretty easily then.
Yeah. Yeah. Once it's all in there, then it's easy to go in there and say, I planted these, 25 trees this year. The Second Avenue project, we planted, 30 some trees. We could go in there and put all those in.
And they'll look at trees types that are good for our area.
Right.
Look at trees that maybe can withstand salt because we do salt.
Mm-hmm.
Look at trees that don't grow so big that our sidewalks are doing this. So there's lots of positive things that can happen from this and eventually save us money in sidewalk replacements, trees falling over, all of those things that happen around the city. So I think this is absolutely fantastic.
Possibility of types of trees, how far the roots go, especially the street sides where you have the sewer lines or the waste pipes coming out of the houses. It's like this to preclude any possible growing into those pipes and such.
Yep.
Sure.
We may still have some damage out there from the ice storm. It's going to help us determine the health of
Identify
the
those
trees, as well as, if there are any diseased trees that we need to keep that from spreading.
It'll take us a while to get where we're going, but we'll get, but we have to take some.
We're going somewhere now.
I know one place we can volunteer to put trees. Right in front of my house.
Okay, all right, well, we'll have to see what the study says.
That's all right.
So, if someone wants to make a
I
motion.
will. I move we award the 2025 tree inventory and assessment project, including all alternates, to Davy Resource Group of Novi, Michigan, for a total not to exceed $66,802.12.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mitchell, second by Mayor Pro Tem to award the 2025 tree inventory and assessment project, including all alternates, to Davy Resource Group of Novi, Michigan, for a total not to exceed $66,802.12. Any more discussion? No?
Mayor Pro Tem Walczak,
Aye.
Councilmember Courier,
Aye.
Mayor Johnson,
Aye.
Councilmember Mitchell.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And now we're down to C, under new business 2024 water production plant intake cleaning and repairs, change order number 1. And once again, Steve.
In November of 2024, the city of Alpena contracted with Meridian Contracting to perform cleaning and chemical line installation on the intake line for the water treatment plant. This work was performed after an inspection in November of 23 found that previous chemical lines had failed and plugged our intake. Additionally, as the chemical lines were not operating, the intake line required subsequent cleaning and due to silt and zebra mussels. The initial contract was awarded for $449,900. Meridian's proposal included an additional alternate for replacing an existing butterfly valve with a new gate valve in the amount of $109,529. Currently, this butterfly valve must be removed every time the intake needs service or inspection. By replacing the existing butterfly valve with a gate valve, it would allow access for divers and equipment. Though warranted at the time of the bid, the decision was made not to award the alternate and instead include the work in the CIP and current fiscal year budget during the budgeting process. As this project is now included in the fiscal year 26, in the fiscal 26 budget, staff is requesting to issue a change order to install the valve. As we did not do the work as part of the initial project, the dive company Michaels is requesting an additional $17,530 for remobilization to complete the work. And that's what's attached to the memo is that. We already had the money, we already had the idea what the valve would cost from the original contract proposal. So the recommended motion is to approve that change order with Meridian.
I just want to ask, I can ask a question before voting. Just this, if the intent here is we're to save a lot of money in the future by having this valve.
Yes.
In the old one.
Yes, correct. Yes.
And as far as the zebra mussels go, how will they interact with the new valve? Do they just not like?
Yeah, there's nothing really at the valve location where the zebra mussels would be. We focus those chem lines out to the midpoint and at the end point where our main water draw is, and we get the zebra mussels there and they clog it, and so we get the chemical line feed out there to disperse those.
Thank you, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
Entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve change order number 1 with Meridian Contracting, Inc. For a total of $127,059.
Support.
So Courier made a motion supported by Mitchell to approve the change order number 1 with Meridian Contracting, Inc. for a total of $127,059. Any discussion? Cleveland?
Councilmember Courier,
Aye.
Mayor Johnson,
Aye.
Councilmember Mitchell,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Walczak.
Aye.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The motion to adjourn.
We adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. We are adjourned.